Welcome into Around the Felt. We're breaking down week 9 on tonight's podcast. I'm your host, Reagan Loer, here with my co-host, Mr. Colin Gong.
You were waiting to do that, huh?
I was waiting to do that. I had to practice it, The whistles went off in my head. What can I say?
Wow, this
All
guy.
right, that's enough of the sounds.
You found that last pod, and now it's your new favorite toy.
Yeah. But no, it's fun. It's fun stuff for sure. That's why we use StreamYard. So much fun stuff to do here. But yeah, man, how you doing tonight? You ready to talk some week 9?
Yeah, let's get it rolling, man. Week 9 already.
Yeah, halfway through the season. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
What really hit me was the college football season where they're already have played 8 games, and I'm like, holy shit, we're two-thirds of the way through the college regular season already. I feel like it just started. And that's when it kind of hit me, where it's like, shit, dude, we wait all summer for football, and then when you actually get there, it just flies by.
Yeah, see, I can't wait. I can't wait for the college, all that stuff to end. I got so many I got a lot of good futures I like, so I'm very, very excited to see some of those hopefully come to fruition. I don't know. I'm just ready to see the underdogs. I mean, but hey, in your fantasy leagues, this is crunch time now. You got 6 games left, a lot of bye weeks still. Like this week, 4 teams are on byes: Jets, Browns, Eagles, and I'm forgetting the last team.
Buccaneers.
So 2 significant teams, and then 2 teams who just have a couple players of relevance. So definitely a big factor. But I mean, hey guys, it's crunch time. If you're on the fringe of your leagues, you're not in a great spot. It's time to go win some games, make it in, and also, trade deadlines are coming up in those fantasy leagues. So get active, start making some moves.
Hey, trade deadline coming up in real football too this upcoming Tuesday. So some moves have already been made. We'll dive into. Reagan, it's funny. You said only 4 teams on bye, and you said 2 teams with a couple relevant people. Yeah. I have a dynasty team with 6 running backs. Quinshon Judkins, bye. Breece Hall, bye. Saquon Barkley, bye. Bucky Irving, bye. Cam Scatterbo, out for the season. I'm fucked. And then Trey Benson, the 6th back, out.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm scrambling the waivers. Of course, I get the stupid waiver order. I lose out on Kareem Hunt. Never thought I'd be I really need Kareem Hunt this week. And that's the situation I'm in. I got Samaje Perine and Justice Hill at running back. And it's a 5-3 team.
Perine can be sneaky.
A tight playoff race. It's difficult, dude. And I'm here. I'm like, God damn it. I am out. I had 5 running backs. I'm like, I can't start all of them. I should move one. And then I have a week where I literally can't play a single one.
Yeah, that's a fun spot. But I mean, that's the thing with Dynasty, bro. You're in a good spot. Even if you lose this week, you could probably afford it at 5-3.
Yeah, that's true. I'm in 2nd place right now. So
did you know? And I'm not trying to flex on people. In our big Dynasty league that I've gone back to back in, it's kind of crazy. I've won 18 games in a row. I feel like that is ridiculous to do for fantasy football.
That is. I hate to say it because you're such a pain in the ass with it. It is really crazy. It is
18 games in a row. And
I hate to gas you up, dude. I fucking hate it. But I mean, it also requires luck, though. You've won some matchups with a 110 score.
I mean, luck goes into it, but still winning 18 in a row is insane. And I'm 8-0 this year, so I'm hoping, if I could have a perfect fantasy football season, that would be really fun.
I mean, it won't happen. We still got to play, so you'll get a loss. I'll close the gap a little bit there.
Yeah, we'll see, buddy. We'll see.
All right, yeah, we will see. That'll be an interesting week on the pod. I don't know when we're supposed to play, but we haven't played yet, and it's week 9, so there's only 12 teams. It's got to be the next couple weeks, so it'll be interesting. All right, man. Let's get into the news here, and some big news came down in Detroit today. Aidan Hutchinson signs a 4-year, $180 million extension. The Lions have now extended most, if not all, of their core and their star players, giving out contracts in totality of roughly $950 million. Obviously not all guaranteed, but close to $1 billion in contracts given out by Detroit for their core. That's the blueprint, is it not? You draft good players, they become great, you keep them in-house, you build a culture. Detroit's doing it, man. Your thoughts on this extension for Hutchinson?
I think it's great. I mean, of course you want to, sign him long term. He's seemingly back to maybe not 100%, but very close to what we were seeing last year at the dominant start of the season. So, of course, it's great. You're locking up a cornerstone of your franchise that really gives you the best chance to win a Super Bowl in this league when you have, a top 5, if not top 3 edge rusher, which he in fact is.
He certainly is. And they still need a running mate for him. I think another really good piece at the edge, but
yeah,
I mean, the guy wrecks havoc. So, I mean, good for him. Good for Detroit. They got that one right. The Jags should have taken Hutchinson at 1 and not Trayvon Walker. I think that's pretty evident. Walker ain't getting a deal like that.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's definitely not. And a lot of guys are getting paid that, Sauce got paid as well. Stingley got paid, so damn, Jaguars got to be, a little upset.
Yeah, a couple of all-pros picked in the 3 picks right after them.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. All right, Pat Surtain likely to miss 3 weeks with his pec injury. Denver did not put him on IR, though, because in 4 weeks, it's a bye. If they put him on IR, he would have to sit out the bye and then sit out the game after, a minimum of 4 games, so that'd be 5 weeks. They think 4 weeks will be enough. They want him for that game, so makes sense. They're fine burning the roster spot if it means getting Pat Surtain back for 1 extra game. Yeah. But obviously, this is a big, big hit for that Denver defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive hit ultimately for the Denver defense. I mean, the dude won the DPOY last year. So, but hey, I would be willing to take that, give up a roster spot to get Pat Surtain back 1 game earlier. Of course you do that. So, it'll just be interesting to see, how they do. I mean, the nice thing for them is they're going against a very depleted Houston core. I don't know if Nico Collins is going to play either way. But that would have been a very interesting matchup where now, for Nico, if he does play, I'd like him a lot more fantasy. I mean, you're starting him regardless, but now, the production could be way crazier.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, it's a tough couple game stretch for Denver, so we'll see if they could weather the storm. This is why you take a Jay Barron in the first round when corner was not your biggest need.
This is true. Now it's looking like a great move.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting into some let's get to the last injury news we have, and then we'll get into the trades that went down today. Terry McLaurin re-injured his quad in the Monday night game. He will not play this week. Maybe it's long-term. We don't know right now, but obviously it seemed like the Commanders were finally getting their full arsenal back and ready to go. With Jaden practicing, it looks like this week, and he could be back this weekend. But now, no Terry McLaurin. Just really tough for Commanders team that, at 3-5 needs to get a win and needs to go on a win streak here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough draw too. You're at home, but Seattle's defense has been really good so far. So you hate to see that for Jaden Daniels if he does miss, because they didn't rule him out yet, right?
Jaden?
Yeah, isn't that what you're saying?
No, he's going to practice this week, so there's a chance he plays this weekend.
Oh, I misunderstood you. Okay, so hopefully he does play. I mean, I would imagine the line's reflecting him not playing right now, was Seattle is 3.5-point road favorites. But I think at this point, with the fact that they're 3-4, or are they 3-5? I forget.
I thought they were 3-5. I think they're 3-5.
I don't remember if they've had a bye. They are. Did you just confirm that? I know they have
3 wins. Confirmed. 3-5.
Yeah, so 3. That's even worse. So they don't really have the luxury where if you're 5-3, yeah, we can wait until he's 100%. But with how competitive the NFC's being, I think you need him to go. Even if he's 75%, I'll still take that over Marcus Mariota. So I would think he'll probably end up playing. But then again, last week, I mean, the Ravens were 2-4 going into that, or 1-5 going into that matchup against Chicago. And it's like, there's no way Lamar doesn't play. They need this win so bad. And surely he doesn't play. And surely enough, they win. So you never know. I mean, maybe Mariota plays and they win at home. And they're like, listen, we like our matchup against Seattle. Our defense was able to hang and, hang with Kansas City through 1/2. So maybe they feel a little bit more confident in the matchup. So who knows?
Yeah, I think they really need Jaden. Like, really need Jaden. I think with Mariota, they're going to get dog walked by Seattle.
They probably win that game against Kansas City if they have Jaden. I mean, it was 7-7 at halftime. The defense was playing great, but at the end of the day, an inconsistent offense, a defense can only, do so well till the armor starts to crack after so many 3-and-outs and turnovers by the offense. So, if they got a little more production out of Mariota, maybe they win that game.
I agree. I mean, I still think it's unlikely, but hey, with Jaden Daniels, any given Sunday with that guy, you know what I mean? So, or in this case, any given Monday.
Yeah.
All right, getting into some trades that went down. Nothing major yet. Just a couple guys moving. We'll start with the one that involves your New York Jets, Reagan, trading Michael Carter to the Eagles for John Metchie, and then there's a late round pick swap, 5th and 6th, I believe. And Michael Carter wanted to go to Philly so bad that he voided his $5 million injury guarantee for 2026. So if he were to get hurt and tear his ACL in camp, he would have had a $5 million injury guarantee for the season. That is now waived. So he would not get paid. That's crazy to me. So that just shows how badly he wanted to get out of New York and go to the defending champ, Philadelphia Eagles. How does that make you feel, Reagan? And are you excited about John Metchie added to your wide receiver core?
Yeah, I think it's great because we've had a different, Carter wasn't even starting at this point. We had Brownlee from the Titans who we got, who's been actually playing really well, rated one of the top slot corners off of PFF. So he's slid right into that role and taken it. So the Jets obviously felt comfortable. Obviously, the fact that he's on the last year of his deal, next year will be the last year of his deal, and we're not competing, and he's an older guy, definitely makes it easier. But the fact also with Metchie, while normal situation, he would be on the last year of his deal, but because of the year he missed with cancer, we have, team control next year. So we actually have 2 years of John Metchie, and with how bad our core is right now, it's definitely interesting. I added him in a couple deeper bench leagues as a speculative ad, just because if he shows any flashes, he could really slot into that number 2 role quickly. And you got to believe, this is a guy that the talent's there. It's just cancer, fucked him up, So yeah. I would think with the proper opportunity and chance, he may actually have an opportunity to shine, because you saw some flashes in Houston.
For sure.
And in Philly, he never really got a chance, which is understandable because we've never really seen anybody with, as long as there's been A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, there's never really been a true number 3 option. They don't really utilize a third wide receiver.
Even Jahan Dotson, who's a former first-round pick, barely gets utilized.
The flashes, but so it's it was never gonna probably work out there.
All right, man, that's good. I'm excited for the Jets fans that they got a guy like John Metchie that maybe brings a little bit more juice on Sundays, makes that offense a little bit more exciting. And you mentioned it, Carter wasn't even having a big role on the defensive side of the ball. So for a late round pick swap to add some wide receiver help, I think it's solid.
Yeah, it's kind of a win-win for both teams. But, for fantasy, I would just say deeper benches, pick him up. And if he's in your dynasty leagues, I would definitely try to scoop him up, just because now he has a real situation where the path is open for potential playing time, especially in 2026. If he shows some flashes this year and they actually get a legit pocket passer in the draft, or, I don't see them not drafting a quarterback. I guess you never know what quarterbacks may become available at the end of the year. You always see weird situations where teams are looking to move away. I guess Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, some guys like that, where it's all right, maybe these teams are going to be looking to move on from them because they're over it. Maybe the Jets opt to go for that option. 2 names that definitely stick out to me, that their teams could be looking to move away from them after this year, just being hey, listen, we've done this too many times. It's clearly not the long-term answer. So definitely could see that happening as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The Patriots trade defensive end Keion White to the Niners in a 2026 late round pick swap. This one's interesting to me because Keion White actually was doing some things in New England with the previous regime, not in the eyes of favor for Mike Vrabel. I believe he's a healthy scratch this past weekend, so clearly not a part of their long-term plans. And for the Niners losing Bosa, they really need pass rusher help opposite Michael Williams. So for a guy like Keion White that's actually had some production in the league, I really, really like this move for San Francisco.
Yeah, I do as well. I think, with how banged up they are, they had to make some moves. You lose Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, you got to go out and make some moves.
You just have to, dude. That front that looks so lethal at the start of the season now kind of seems like a weakness. And, it's Keion White, I believe he was picked in the second round from New England. So highly drafted guy. Yeah. He's got the talent from Georgia Tech. So good move for the Niners. Good move. And the last trade that went down, the Steelers acquire safety Kyle Duggar from New England and another late round pick swap. The Pats are just stacking up on 6 rounders. Who knows what for? Who knows who they're targeting in the 6th? But they're really loading up on 6th round picks. Kyle Duggar, a former Bill Belichick guy. Remember, he got picked like stupid high, and everyone's like, what the hell, dude? Yep. Kyle Duggar. He's had some solid seasons in New England, but again, fell out of favor with the new staff. I do think it's interesting that Keion White and Kyle Duggar traded away when they were seen as 2 of the young building blocks this defense a couple years ago, and New England sitting there atop the division with an opportunity to really do something this year and go on a run, and they're trading away guys for picks right now. I just think it's an interesting strategy from New England, but clearly Mike Vrabel's like putting his stamp on this team and who he wants to build around.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's pretty apparent. So, but definitely interesting just because they're 6-2. So they must feel really confident in the other guys they got in the building.
For sure, man. That's all we got on news. What do we got in the mailbag?
All right. First up, we got Caleb. He wants to know any waiver wire running back targets to fill in for Breece Hall and Saquon on bye weeks.
Oh, that's great. We just talked about it. I got Breece Hall, Saquon, Quinton Judkins, Bucky Irvin all on bye week. And I went after Kareem Hunt because Pacheco's got the MCL considered week to week. So Kareem Hunt, probably the number 1 guy to add right now. He's not going to do a ton for you.
I mean, there's some other guys.
He could score a touchdown. Samaje Perine I picked up last week. I just picked him up in another league this week after what he did. I mean, last week was the best game of the season, so I got really lucky in the one league, but I got to go back to the well for Samaje Perine. This week, they got Chicago, not a defense I'm necessarily scared of. Are there any other guys that come to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, a guy I would look at is Jeremy McNichols. He's not getting a ton of volume, but he is the 3rd down back for the Commanders, so if ultimately Daniels doesn't play, he's a desperation start. You're probably not loving it. You're closing your eyes and doing it. But, he had 9 fantasy points, 9.3 last week. I mean, 5 catches on 6 targets for 64 yards. So not great, but, at least he's the 2-minute warning guy. He's a 3rd down back. He's going to get all the receiving work. Another
Tyrone Tracy's already picked up, right? We're under that assumption because that one's obvious.
Yeah. I would say unless you were able to get him, but he's not really a bye week fill in. Like he probably went number 1 waiver claim, big budget of the fab. Other guys, you could always go the Devin Singletary route as well. Throw him in there. We don't know how this is going to look. It's not a given that they're just going to hand it back to Tracy. I mean, he kind of lost the job with the injury and just got to be looking way better, but there's a world where Singletary is very much involved as well. So you could pick him up with the veteran and just hope that like in a matchup against San Francisco where this defense isn't as good with all these injuries that, hey, maybe they do get down to the red zone and something big happens. If Bam Knight's still in your fantasy leagues, like pick him up. I mean, they just cut Michael Carter. Granted, they did re-sign him to be on their practice squad. Yeah. But you might want to pick up Michael Carter as well, because, I mean, it seems like both guys are involved. It's more Bam at this point, but a lot of people probably drop Michael Carter. Vidal's definitely picked up. If Tyjae Spears is somehow out on your waivers, I know he's only rostered in 41% of leagues. He's taking over that backfield, especially with the way the Titans are laid out right now in this offense. Like, he's the more elusive back, the 3rd down back, and they're going to trail in every freaking game. He had 15.7 points last week, but, at a 41% roster percentage, that means he's out there in a lot of leagues. He's a guy I'd look at. He looks better than Pollard, exactly. And another guy, Emanuel Wilson as well, if he's out there. I mean, he was 11 for 61. He's been getting more and more involved, and I think they want to prolong Josh Jacobs for the playoffs. So in a decent matchup against Carolina where, Vegas is at least expecting them to blow them out, I mean, you can kind of look off of that and look at some totals where what teams are projected to put a lot of points up. If you trust Vegas and think Green Bay will blow out the Panthers, that means Emmanuel Wilson may push for double-digit carries because they're going to be up big, and they're going to be like, hey, we don't need to give Josh Jacobs the ball 30 times. Like, let's try to save him for the playoffs, which right now it looks like the Packers are definitely going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, they definitely are.
So, but let's move on. My notes froze. Hold on 1 second, but I know it's a Survivor question. Colin, before I even get into it, how many Survivor leagues you in still? You still got a couple entries going?
I got 1 entry out of 3 still. No, yeah, out of 3 still alive. 1 entry out of 3 still alive.
3 entries still alive, so I'm still Still chilling, But his question is, oh, fuck, what'd I do? Oh, here we go. He wants to know, what's an unpopular Survivor pick you might be tempted to take this week? For week 9, are there any teams playing that... Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. That's the whole question. Just what's an unpopular Survivor pick you might take this week? So, yeah, I mean, by that, he's, I guess, looking for the non-chalk. I mean, obviously, the Rams are chalky. The Packers are chalky.
Yeah, I took the Rams in mine. That's stupid chalky 14.5-point favorites. I mean, look, I think Seattle is live, but you don't know about Mariota or Jaden Daniels, and that's a Sunday night game.
I like the Bears a lot.
Do you like the Bears? I like the Bengals to beat them.
Flacco, that came out today, he might miss the game. So if it's Jake Browning...
Whoa! I didn't know that. Whoa!
Yeah, that's why, yeah. Yeah, he might miss. He's got...
fuck.
Let me pull it up.
If it's Jake Browning, yeah, the Bears are live. Right now, I have the Bengals because I'm assuming Flacco will play.
It says, Bengals quarterback Joe Flacco is in jeopardy of missing Sunday's game against the Bears because of a sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder. So at this time, the line's 2.5 for Chicago. I think that's reflecting that whole play. But yeah, Chicago is definitely an interesting option to me. San Francisco against the Giants, 2.5-point road favorites. I think that's another interesting one. Denver against Houston. I don't believe in Houston at all. I think that's going to be a defensive battle, but ultimately Denver's offense is starting to click when it really matters these past couple weeks. So I think they're going to continue that hot streak. I'm staying away from Raiders, Jaguars. Bills, Chiefs, staying away from it. Cowboys against Cardinals. I think the Cowboys are going to kill the Cardinals on Sunday night or Monday Night Football.
Yeah, so I like Dallas.
2.5 actually surprised me a lot. Yeah,
me too.
So I think that's definitely one you could play. But I think at this point, I mean, there's enough teams like between the Chargers, Ravens, who I think will win. Oh, Falcons, Patriots. Stay away from the Patriots. I think the Falcons are going to win early sneak pick there. But between the Ravens, the Chargers,
you're giving away all your picks on the pod. The rest of the pod is the picks. You're giving away all your picks.
Packers, Rams. There are 5 teams this week that are bigger than a touchdown favorites. So I just think you don't, at this point, don't worry about conserving picks, but just take one of the heavy favorites. And when you have that being an issue later on, you can cross that bridge when it gets there. So his final question is, for week 9, are there any teams playing that might have a game you view as a turning point for the better or worse? Yeah, there's a few. There's a few. I mean, obviously for, the Ravens, Dolphins, you could say at least, I mean, it's kind of a loser goes home in a sense. I don't know. I mean, the Ravens could probably still win out, but that's a big turning point game for the Ravens. Like Lamar's back. Like, do they dominate the Dolphins? Or do the Dolphins hang around and it's like, oh, well, I mean, they won, but like it wasn't very dominant and they have Lamar back. Like there might be some bigger, pieces here for Atlanta, New England. Yeah, that's big for Atlanta because you fall to 3-5, you're really falling back. But if you win, then it's like, all right, once again, the Falcons, a team that can play to any level of competition. What else is there? I mean, Colts Steelers is pretty important because the Steelers have lost 2 straight and, now the Ravens are getting healthy and the Bengals are still hanging around. That's very important. I mean, you don't want to fall to 4-4 if you're the Steelers, losers of 3 in a row.
I mean, I'm going to bring up the Commanders and the Cowboys again. Both teams with a losing record right now. Philly's starting to separate themselves in division, but wild card is still very much in play. And for Commanders team that was obviously made a deep run last year, you don't want to drop to 3-6. You're really going to have to dig yourselves out of a big hole with Philadelphia still in the schedule. So,
yeah,
I mean, the Commanders really got to get a win at home here.
Yeah, and I would say the Vikings, Texans in that same sentiment, 2, 3, and 4 teams that are starting to fall away in their divisions. Texans more so than the Vikings, with the Colts being 7-1 at this point. But 2 teams that are definitely starting to fall off in their divisions. And then Chiefs, Bills, just for seeding. You would imagine I still think the Broncos can win that division, but it just seems inevitable that the Chiefs will win that division. So it does seem inevitable that the Bills will win it. Both teams currently aren't winning the division, but it does seem inevitable that they will. I mean, wouldn't that be something if both those teams are between those 2 and the Ravens? Those are the 3 wild cards. Because that
would be nuts. No one would have had that on their bingo card.
And it's very possible. It is very possible that is the 3 wild card teams. Because right now, Denver can run away with it, and New England could definitely run away with it. And then for the Ravens, I mean, I don't even know if the Steelers or Bengals necessarily need to run away with it. It might just be like a matter of, one of those teams getting in at like 10-7, winning the division. So But wouldn't that be something? Because that's a reality that could happen.
Who wants to see you win your division? Here's your reward. Your choice of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson walking into your house.
Yeah. So that would be interesting. But let's move on. Oh, we got a new one. First time submitting the questions. Matt Busher. He wants to know.
Oh, nice.
So appreciate that, Matt. He wants to know, Olave is the clear number one in New Orleans. How much does the quarterback affect that offense and his fantasy production going forward? So obviously Shuck has been announced as the starter. So let me ask you this, and what Matt wants to know as well. Do you think that's going to impact him with Shuck over Rattler?
No, I think it's going to have no impact. If anything, maybe he could be a boost and they could score more points and he gets more touchdown opportunities. I think it's evident that in Kellen Moore's offense, Chris Olave working out of the slot is their most dynamic weapon, and they just funnel him targets like on repeat. The guy's getting double-digit targets, and he's kind of become a PPR monster where he's giving you a high floor with all the receptions. I don't see that changing with Shuck. I think Shuck certainly has more arm talent than Rattler. So maybe he could stretch the ball downfield more and hit him in stride so he can make more plays after the catch and get more yak. I think if it can't hurt him, if anything, I think it could only help him.
Yeah, I mean, Rattler was pretty conservative with the ball for the most part. I mean, he only just recently started to turn it over, but I mean, through the first 5-6 games, I think he had one turnover. So I don't think it hurts at all. I think if anything, it can help. It'll probably either stay the same or get better, because it's not like Olave's been, lighting the world on fire with touchdowns. Like, he has 3 through 8 games, which is not bad for Olave of recent, but like, I think he can get better. I mean, he's 4th in receptions, 13th in yards, and tied for 31st in touchdowns. So it can only go up. And like you said, with the he's only averaging 9.7 yards a catch. So maybe they'll get up to closer to the 15-yard mark when it's all said and done. So, and then this is not a question. He just commented, appreciate any insight, fellas.
Let's go. We appreciate you,
problem.
Bush.
Hey, yes, we definitely do. Thanks for submitting. So that's all we have for the questions tonight. Thank you to Caleb and Matt for doing that. So, I'm ready to
dive into
the games. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's dive into the games, man. We got Thursday night football, a game I'm excited about because it's the return of Lamar Jackson with the 2-5 Ravens traveling to Miami against the 2-6 Dolphins. Ravens 7.5-point favorite, total of 50.5. That's the return of Lamar. Vegas not giving Miami a ton of respect after the thrumping they put on Atlanta last week, which you called, Reagan. Tip the cap. You had Miami money line. You're going back to the well here in our big bet of the week, because yes, you are. You're taking the Dolphin spread, and I'm going Baltimore. Reagan, tell them, what is our punishment this week?
Yeah. So, by the time this matchup is over, it may still be October, but by the time we do the punishment, it's going to be November. So we got a Thanksgiving-inspired punishment. Loser is going to chug a can of canned gravy.
Disgusting. I hate gravy. Disgusting. I don't even think. Can we warm it up or no? Is it just chugging it out?
I think it's got to be cold.
Just
I
just.
know if I'd
cold?
want it warm. It's
Lukewarm?
probably easier to. I think just open the can and chug it.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I'd rather not drink warm gravy. It's probably easier to chug. But yeah, I mean, regardless, it's not gonna, it's probably not the worst punishment we've done, but it's definitely gonna be gross. It actually may be worse. I don't know. I've never tried doing that. So for all I know, one of us might yak. Probably Colin, just off a recent memory, loser of his past 2 big bets.
Yeah. Whoa.
The line is.
I don't even put gravy on my Thanksgiving turkey. That's how much I don't like gravy. So this is a bad punishment for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. So it'd be great to see you do it. The line's 7.5. I ultimately took the Dolphins, like he said. I do think the Ravens will win this. I just think the matchup's going to be closer than people think. I mean, Miami does play well against some of the higher competition, like of recently. Like, they went toe-to-toe with the Chargers. They were hanging around with Buffalo most of that game on Thursday night a couple weeks back. And then last week they blank Atlanta, and then unfortunately, you lose to the Browns and the Panthers. So they're very similar to Atlanta in the sense where they play up and they play down to their competition. This game's at home. You're giving me 7.5 points. Tua seemed to figure something out, and that offense seemed to figure something out last week against Atlanta, who's been a really good passing defense. Guess what? Baltimore is not a really good pass defense. So I think Tua will have some big success here. I like Jalen Waddle. A lot of people in bye weeks, like I think Malik Washington is definitely in play in this matchup. He's definitely slotted into that number 2 role, and they even, have some design runs for him. So he's a guy I definitely would look to pick up. at the tight end position, I'm probably staying away from it because there's not really a clear-cut guy. But yeah, I definitely think the Dolphins can cover it here. I mean, their defense even stepped up big too. I mean, they kind of blanked Kirk Cousins and stuff, and they still got some guys there. So, if they can get after Lamar, who's not 100% yet, and the team that, might have a little bit of rust to shake off with, Lamar being out the past 3 games, or is it 4? Well, I guess it was 3 and a bye. So he's been out the past 4 weeks. So I would imagine there'll be a little rust to shake off there. And hey, even if it's 14 points going into the fourth quarter, we'll take backdoor cover, babies. But we'll see. We shall see. But I just think Miami's good enough to hang around.
Yeah, I don't think Miami's good enough to hang around. This is an interesting clash of matchups. You mentioned Baltimore's pass defense has not been great this year. You're absolutely correct. Bottom 5. Miami's rush defense, bottom 5. So it's going to be Tua with Waddle and Achane through the air versus Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on the ground. And I'm going to give the edge to Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. The Ravens, I think they're going to come out with a ton of juice and enthusiasm that their leader, Lamar Jackson, is back. I think this is a statement game. You talked about it earlier where it's like, hey, if they come in here and they blow out Miami, it's a game that can install a ton of confidence in this team and lead them, with after a mini bye, and they got a pretty soft schedule coming up and kind of catapult them back into the thick of things in the AFC. So that's what I'm expecting. I think they're going to play with some fire, some passion, some energy. They got their guy back and really just steamroll Miami. As I mentioned on the pod earlier in the week, I think Derrick Henry goes for 150 yards and a touchdown in this one. And then I
still agree with that. I just think there's a lot of people out there and a lot of talking heads, which you've seemingly become at this point where you're very chalky. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Ravens and just want to be like,
fuck? What
Lamar.
That's a fucking stray, dude. What the fuck? You can't just go by that. That's a fucking stray.
And, with Lamar being back and stuff, like everyone's going to be like, oh, Lamar's back. Of course they're going to roll. Like, I just think it's trappy, man. It's going to be like, 7.5 points. Like, the Ravens are going to kill him.
What?
Lamar's back. I feel like everyone and their grandma, their grandpa, their mom, their dad, their aunt, their uncle, their cousin, their nephew, their niece, you name it, their brother, their sister, whatever they identify as are going to be on the Ravens.
Yeah, you know what, dude? The same Dolphins team you have confidence in after last week also got blown out from the Browns the week before. So
yeah, but guess what? As long as the Dolphins are at home, they're a whole nother. They're a whole different team.
Total blowout potential. They could lose by 30, and everyone's gonna be booing McDaniel off the field. Like, we've seen how defeated he looks walking through the tunnel. So I'll take my 7.5, and I'll take you chugging some gravy for it. How about that?
We'll see, buddy.
Moving on, the Niners at 5-3 travel to New York to play the 2-6. My New York Football Giants. The Niners 2.5-point favorites, total of 48.5. I like that. It's a nice high total. I think Brock Purdy should be back in action for San Francisco, which could be a big boost. I do think the 2.5-point spread is interesting, much lower than what I anticipated, but maybe, given they didn't look great last week and injuries on defense, they're giving the Giants and Jackson Dart some respect here. But hey, I have a very strong feeling you're going to go with the Niners here. Tell me why.
It's just hard not to. I mean, honestly, like, the line is very tiny, which does actually make me a little nervous. But that may speak to the fact that the Niners just have so many injuries on that defense. But I just find it hard to believe that after what just happened to the Giants losing their spark plug, and Dart is a spark plug in his own right, but Scattaboo is the real spark plug. So I find it hard to believe with that big of a loss that they're going to have that same energy. Tyrone Tracy is no Cam Scattaboo, and unfortunately, that receiving core is yet to step up yet. So I just don't know if Jackson Dart's going to be able to take advantage of a very beat-up defense. It does intrigue me that Brock Purdy will be back. I hope he plays because I definitely think he'll fare better in this because Mac Jones really, turned back the clock. I guess the closer we get to Halloween, the more the pumpkin rots, because that's really what's happened with Mac Jones at this point. He was, this big orange pumpkin, and then as the season's progressed, he's just gotten worse and worse. Probably because he's also playing injured, but it's a little different as a backup quarterback. Got to take all the time you can get. But I am going to go with the Niners here. I think it's a good bounce back game for CMC. I think we get a big Kittle game here because we really haven't gotten the explosive Kittle game yet. So I guess I'll put him in big dogs. for us on
No, no one goes
Oh,
with big dogs
homer.
playing against the Giants. It doesn't happen.
My homer.
Hey,
Oh,
you know what
homer.
you could do? You could make a parlay yourself. You could do your own touchdown parlay, and you could pick guys that play against the Jets every week because they can't stop a nosebleed either. So how about that? You could do that. That's fine.
Yeah,
I have authority.
I have put them in.
I have authority over it, and no one against the Giants is going in. Plus, let's be honest, CMC is going to be like minus 250 to score. So what's even the point of throwing that in the parlay?
Kittle trying to get scores juiced. Like 2 touchdowns, and we're
like, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. But I'm going to go with my Giants. Yeah, I don't feel great about the offense right now at all. I really don't. But what I do feel good about is this Giants team is 0-5 on the road, and with Jackson Dart, they've beaten the Chargers and the Eagles at home, and that stadium's been really rowdy. So I'm going to take the 2.5. As I mentioned, I think that's low. I was expecting more like 4.5, 5.5. So give me the 2.5. I'll take the money line outright. I think it's a trap. I think the whole world's going to be on San Francisco, and I think the Giants at home are actually very live dogs in this situation. You know, it's interesting with no Scatterbo. It's a monster loss, particularly what he was doing as a receiver, too, out of the backfield. That was a huge element. Him and Dart had that connection. Tracy, former receiver in his own right, so hopefully he can pick up the slack there. And, you know, I really just think if they're going to win this game, it's going to have to be the pass rush coming alive and getting after Purdy and Jackson Dart making plays with his legs and making plays on third downs, because that's really when they've won. They've been unbelievable on third down, and Jackson Dart outside the pocket making some pretty unique throws. I will say the Giants' run defense has been god-awful. CMC is going to have a monster bounce-back game here. I just think at the end, the Giants will somehow come out on top with a 3-point win.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next on the docket, the Chicago Bears at the Cincinnati Bengals. Chicago sitting at 4-3. Cincinnati 3-5. Chicago 2.5-point favorites. Total of 50.5. That's a fat total. But hey, as Reagan mentioned earlier, Joe Flacco may not be in the lineup here, which really affects my situation, because I'm picking Cincinnati if they got Flacco. But if it's Jake Browning, how the hell can you trust him and this Bengals team given what we saw earlier this season?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't. I mean, I'm taking the Bears regardless. I do not care. I simply do not care. But yeah, I mean, I like it even more if obviously it's Jake Browning. I mean, the line to me with Chicago being 2.5-point favorites is reflecting Flacco playing. I think it'll balloon up to almost a touchdown if it's Browning with how bad he's looked. But yeah, I mean, I feel very confident in Chicago. I think they roll here. I think it's going to be a good bounce back game. I mean, we saw what freaking Justin Fields and that terrible Jets offense just did to this bottom tier defense. I mean, you could say the Bengals have a worse defense than Dallas. Everyone's already ready to say Dallas has the worst defense, but I think you could make a case that it's the Bengals. So I like Swift. I would put him in my big dogs parlay. You know, I like the wide receivers. I think Caleb Williams is going to have a good game. I just think it's going to be a high-powered game for them. You know, Rome should have a good game. I just don't see what they're able to stop. I mean, fucking Tyler Johnson scored a touchdown against them last week. I guess I like the running backs a little bit more after seeing what Breece Hall did. But granted, you know, the Jets don't really have the weapons like that in the receiver core with Garrett Wilson out. But Justin Fields was able to pretty much do whatever he wanted in that Jets offense. So hard to think that anything will change.
Yeah, I was going to go Bengals if Joe Flacco was playing. I'm assuming he's not going to play. And even if he does, the fact that he's got a shoulder injury in his throwing shoulder means he could get knocked out in the second quarter and the Bengals just get mopped. So I got to switch, even though I said earlier in the week on the podcast that I think Chicago is fraudulent. Cincinnati without Joe Flacco is just a complete dog shit team. And to your point about the Bengals potentially being the worst defense in football, statistically, after that Jets game, they actually are. They allow the most yards per game. They've allowed the most touchdowns with 31, and they actually have the worst run defense in football, third worst pass defense in football. So, yeah, dude, DeAndre Swift, a guy that I don't love, but that seems pretty easy against this Bengals defense. So, with no Flacco, it's hard to have faith in Jake Browning and what they're going to do. And that really concerns me because I was really looking forward to Jamar Chase getting 20 targets again, and now I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I could have confidence in it. I mean, you're obviously not benching those options, but you definitely have to heavily pivot expectations if it is Browning over. I mean, Chase Brown you could bench. Like I'm benching him in a couple leagues if it's Jake Browning. Like I'm already like fringe debating playing him or not, but that definitely is a deciding factor for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it just sounds like he's gonna like. It
T,
just
too,
seems like
you
he's gonna
could
get like
bench.
4.2 fantasy points if Jake Browning's
Yeah,
quarterback.
and you don't want none of that. You don't want that. You don't
want none of that. All right.
No.
Next, divisional matchup here. Minnesota at 3-4. The return of JJ McCarthy at the 5-2 Detroit Lions. Detroit 8.5-point favorites. Total of 48.5. Lions coming off a bye week. Massive for them. And 8.5 kind of feels right to me, Reagan. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to have any confidence in the Vikings right now. They just look terrible. Lions off the bye. Vikings get the extra couple days. So, it really doesn't matter to me. I just think the Lions are going to roll here. You get 2 weeks to prepare for a division mate that you beat both times last year, really had their number. It sounds like JJ McCarthy's going to go, but if he doesn't go, like Max Brosmer making his first start against the Lions.
The Lions going to go to like 17, dog.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. Even though the Vikings got a good defense, I just think ultimately, like with the offense struggling a lot, and this Detroit defense is much improved. I like the Lions, man. They're rolling right now. Like they looked really good against the Bucs 2 weeks ago. Like I'm really thinking they're going to roll here. So I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, like to your point, this Lions defense is actually top 10 in like total yardage allowed per game. So they definitely made strides. They're not the Lions from a couple years ago. They're actually
They ain't your mother's Lions.
They ain't your mother's Lions. They're actually pretty complete on both sides of the ball. And it's like, all right, who am I going to take here? The Lions that have looked pretty awesome all season, sitting at 5-2, coming off a bye, or a JJ McCarthy led Vikings team that we haven't seen JJ play in over a month. And even when he was playing, it wasn't great. So now I'm going to take him to go on the road at Detroit, all rested and ready to rock for a divisional matchup. Hell no. And I also, like you pointed out, when the Minnesota Vikings were awesome last year, they lost both times to Detroit.
Twice to them and twice to the Rams.
Dan Campbell knows how to coach against Kevin O'Connell. So for me, this is an easy one. I think Detroit wins by more than 20 points. I think they whoop ass here.
Yeah, I feel that too. I think it could be 20 points as well.
Carolina at 4-4 travels to Green Bay, Wisconsin to take on the 5-1-1 Packers. That's still annoying me, the tie. I hate that there was a tie, but hey, it is what it is. Green Bay, 13.5-point favorites. Bryce Young, questionable, could be back. I don't know. 13.5. That seems like it's Andy Dalton, right? That seems like Andy Dalton.
I think there's a good chance it's going to be Andy Dalton. I'm taking the Panthers to cover here because the Packers are also a team that play to their competition. It seems like always, like they let the Cardinals hang around. They let the Cowboys hang around. They've let some bad teams really give them fits and hang around. Like this defense has allowed some pretty suspect teams to go toe to toe with them. So I think the Panthers hang around. I do have the Packers winning this one because I just feel like ultimately, the Panthers just don't have the horses to keep up with them, especially if it's Andy Dalton. We might see another like repeat of last week with the Bills. But I'm still going to take the Panthers to cover. That's a lot of points for a team that seems like they can hang around with just about anyone at times. I mean, the Panthers are like very good at like 1 week, almost beating a team and then the next week getting blanked like we just saw, so but I'll take them to cover and the Packers to win. I feel a little bit more confident if Bryce plays, but if Bryce doesn't play, I don't feel as confident with them covering because Dalton just looked terrible against Buffalo.
I know, dude. And I agree with you. I'm taking Carolina to cover. Can't believe I'm doing it. And Green Bay to win. I just keep thinking back to that Green Bay-Cleveland game and how such a fat spread and how ugly they looked and played down to their competition. Like, granted, Cleveland definitely has a better defense than Carolina, but Carolina's defense is significantly improved from what it was last year. I really hope Bryce Young plays. I don't think he does. And Andy Dalton just looks stupid cooked right now. So hey, if they're going to stay in it, it's got to be the defense. It's got to be containing Jacobs. And the run defense actually has been pretty good this year. And it's got to be Rico Dowdle, who looks like he's going to be the lead back now, just doing what he's been doing since he kind of stepped into that role pre-Chuba Hubbard returning, right? Like Rico's got to have a big game for them to stay in this, especially if it's Andy Dalton. I will say Ted McMillan still had a really good game last week with Andy Dalton, so that's a positive. Maybe they can ride that connection into this week and stay close. 13.5 is just a lot of points for an NFL game when you talk about it all the time, any given Sunday. So despite Andy Dalton looking like he should just hang up the shoulder pads and be a coach these days, it's just too many points. I think they can battle and stay close, and I think Green Bay, I just don't see them blowing Carolina out in this situation.
Yeah, man. It sounds like we're on the same page on that one.
Yeah, I don't feel really good about it, but you got a lot of faith in your Panthers, so
I do, man. They're a good team. They're a team with a winning record. They're a good team.
All right, they're 4-4. They're 500.
They had a winning record at one point.
They had. So. They did. They did. All right, the LA Chargers at 5-3. Get a little cupcake game. They got the 1-7 Tennessee Titans, and the Chargers are 9.5-point favorites on the road with a total of 43.5. Just disrespecting that Tennessee offense. Seems like a youth movement at Tennessee at the wide receiver position. No Ridley last week, but Chimere DK has really stepped into a role. So has Alec Ayumanor. So maybe with the young Bucs now and no Callahan in play, the Titans can start to become better on offense. And maybe Tyjae Spears, who we talked about earlier too, continues to carve out a role. I think it's a smart play, but I think they're walking into a buzzsaw here with the Chargers who, Justin Herbert is playing unbelievable football right now. Your thoughts? 9.5 is a lot, man. Do you think Cam Ward and the fellas can cover that?
I actually do think they can. I don't think they're going to win. Let me make that apparent. I do not think they're going to win. I definitely think they can cover at home in this one. The Chargers are a weird team. They never play great on the road. They've definitely been struggling as of recent outside of that Minnesota game where they seem to figure out a lot of good stuff there. But, we saw them go to New York earlier in the year, and lose a game that they, were heavy favorites in that they should have won coming in 3-0. So I wouldn't be shocked here if it's definitely an effect coming cross country here that, Tennessee's in it at halftime and maybe Cam Ward has some success because 9.5 is a lot. So I just think the Titans are due for a close game. Like they've been getting blown out by a lot of teams. So I think a lot of people are going to think, oh, yeah, the Chargers will roll here and kill them. They're so back where I could see them, the Chargers only winning this one by like a touchdown when it's all said and done or like a field goal. And then even if that is like a backdoor cover from Tennessee, I just think they're could show enough here to cover. And we're also kind of due for a good Cam Ward game. Like I could see it being this one, like where Cam Ward shows some real flashes and, lights them up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not seeing that, my friend. I'm going to take the Chargers to win and cover the 9.5. I think this Tennessee defense is just not very good. And, Kamani Vidal's been playing great, stepping in for Marion Hampton. So I think they're going to be able to keep running the football here. Tennessee's definitely better through the air in terms of defense. But when you got Justin Herbert and his cast of weapons, that all of a sudden looks like he's got a full arsenal. The way Keenan Allen has continued to do it. I mean, Unk still got it. That's for sure. Quentin Johnston, goose egg last week, but we saw what he did to start the season. So maybe he comes into play here. Vlad McConkey's broken out of his shell and finally looking like the guy that he was supposed to be. And then, of course, Aronde Gadsden the second, just a total freak of nature. I don't know who on the Titans is going to cover that guy. I think it's going to be another big game for him. This LA offense is just too good. They have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. I understand they're on the road, and you do make a great point. They usually struggle when they go cross country, but I don't know, dude. The Titans are just – I think LA's just going to beat them down like a dead horse.
Wow. Dead horse. What does that look like exactly, beating down a dead horse?
What do you think it looks like, dude? The horse is dead, and it's just Herbert and the fellas and Madison Beer just punching it,
That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
Hey, dude,
that's fucked up, man.
Hey, I didn't want them to be 1-7. It's not my fault, But it's just how it is. There's not a good ball club.
What are you saying about 1-7 teams?
They're just not a ball club. Hey, it's your Jets.
Hey,
I get it. You didn't want them to win, but they won. So,
yeah,
just be happy. Be grateful you got to win. All right. The Atlanta Falcons. Very interesting ball club. Coming off a total ass beating from the Miami Dolphins. Crazy. Sitting at 3-4. A game that, hey, the question earlier from Caleb, a win or a loss? How could it change your season? This is a big opportunity for Atlanta going to New England, who's a 6-2 team, riding high right now. Pats are 5.5-point favorites with a total of 45.5. I know you said on Monday's pod, calling it now, Falcons going to win this game. They play up and down in their competition. It just seems like everyone's going to want to fade them after getting their asses kicked, and this is when they come in and get a win. So would you care to elaborate
That's
on
exactly it, bro. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. I definitely think that I believe New England has held every team they played against to under 50 rushing yards from the running back position or whatever that stat is. I'm not sure the exact stat on it, but I do think
that's nuts. Second best run defense in football. Yeah, 3 rushing touchdowns allowed. Wow.
Bijan will break that. It sounds like Penix and London will both be back. I don't like this as much if it's no London. I don't really care if it's Penix or Cousins. Honestly, Cousins might come in and be like, listen, like this is my time to prove that I should be a QB1 somewhere and somebody should trade for me at the deadline. So
you saw that report?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did see that report. And I don't blame him. I'm sure he wants to play football. I mean, granted, $40 million a year could probably silence that for me at least, but what do I know? But anyway, so I think Atlanta can get it done here. For New England, I just think they're due for a dud. Like, they've been so good, but I'm not fully convinced that they're like elite yet in that top tier where like they're going to take care of it every time. Like, I think they're just really due for a hiccup game. They've been riding high, and I don't know. I mean, like, will Drake May light him up as a passer? Like, they still do have a good passing defense, even if Tua really did like wax him last week. And even like Tua waxing him still was only like 200 passing yards. It wasn't like this great like 300-yard performance ultimately. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, I'll be curious to see if Henderson gets more run this week after having some success last week, because the fumble really doesn't matter to me because Ramondre has plenty of fumbles.
Yeah, Ramondre's got a ton of them. It's funny. I'm picking the Falcons too. And, Drake May's been absolutely awesome. The Falcons still do have the number 1 pass defense in football by actually pretty wide margin, over 12 yards per game, which is pretty nuts. So, I think they can contain Drake May. I think these young receivers in New England might have some trouble here. And I predict a Ramondre Stevenson fumble to put the nail in the coffin. Let's get Henderson in there, baby. Let's go. So I think Ramondre has a big fumble in the second half that costs him. And I hope it's Michael Penix. I actually think Kirk Cousins looks awful. And Drake London is a monster guy to have back. They need him for this passing attack because, as we mentioned earlier, the Patriots run defense is no joke. But Bijan Robinson is one of the best in the league. So I agree with you, Reagan. I think he breaks that spell. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bijan does it more so through the air in this matchup. Yeah. And there's another game where he has like over 75 receiving yards and breaks off a long one. And the Falcons are like sitting there at 4-4. And you're like, shit, like what is this team? Like, who are they? They could beat the 6-2 Pats on the road, but then they get blown out by Carolina and Miami. Doesn't make sense, but they're a different team week in and week out. So let's just hope we're picking them on the right week, Reagan.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm hoping here, that we're getting the Atlanta bounce back where they play up to their competition.
All right, next up, we got the Colts at 7-1 traveling to Pittsburgh, the 4-3 Steelers. Colts 3.5-point favorites with a total of 50.5. An interesting line here for the 7-1 Colts. I thought it'd be a little bit wider, but hey, it is what it is. I like Indy here. Do you like Indy?
I do like Indy here. It's hard to bet against these guys right now, and it's hard to think that the Steelers will be able to stop, Jonathan Taylor in this high-powered Colts offense. So I think the Colts roll here. The defense has been playing really good, and I haven't been overly impressed from what I've seen from that Steelers offense. They've really taken a step back as of recent. So I think the Colts defense continues to roll here, and it's, I just can't fade the team that's hot. They're 7-1 for a reason. They're legit. It's time to believe. This does seem like a classic trap game where the Steelers are playing against a really good team and the line's like right around 3, and the defense just steps up and wins them a game. But I don't know, man. This offense seems different, so I would think Jonathan Taylor will continue to roll here.
Yeah, dude. I love the Colts in this one. It's actually really interesting. The Steelers have the worst pass defense in football thus far this year, but it's a lot of bend, don't break. They're not towards the bottom in scoring defense, but they are in pass defense. So Daniel Jones has been finding his groove. Pittman's been awesome for him. Josh Downs. I mean, Alec Pierce is making plays as well. So they got those in Tyler Warren. Of course, Tyler Warren, in my opinion, the best of them all. So I think it's going to be a big day through the air, and that bend don't break may not work against the touchdown machine, Jonathan Taylor. So for me, at 3.5, I'm fine taking it. I not a huge fan of the hook, but I think they win by at least a touchdown here. They're rolling. And you know what? I'm just done picking against this team. I really am. Like in matchups like these where I think they're very similar talent-wise, I'm going to go with the Colts. If they were playing like the Kansas City or the Buffaloes, I'd be like, all right, this is the real fraud check moment. But for Pittsburgh, I also kind of think they're fraudulent. Like I don't know how good they really are. And I was disappointed in how they played in the second half, particularly the fourth quarter, going against Aaron Rodgers' old team, the Packers, the other night. Just a poor performance. I don't have faith in this defense like I used to, particularly the back end. So, I know they're at home, but the Colts are just so hot right now. Vibes are so high. It's hard to pick against that.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. So that's why I'm going to keep rolling with them. I'm going to keep rolling with those vibes.
Denver at 6-2 visits Reagan's arch nemesis, 3-4 Houston Texans. Houston, 1.5 point favorite. Similar line to what it was last week when they got a big win with the young buck wide receivers and CJ Stroud. It feels weird saying this, looking like vintage CJ Stroud, like rookie year CJ Stroud, getting it done. Woody Marks making a big impact. But hey, as you said earlier, Reagan, this Denver offense seems to have found their footing. A monster performance against Dallas last week after a monster fourth quarter against the Giants. But this Texans defense, as we talk about week in and week out, is amongst the league's best. Is Bo Nix going to be able to do enough to get a win on the road here in Houston?
He is. Who could have saw that coming? But no, this is my Super Bowl champs. I'm backing him. I understand they're missing Surtain, but it might not matter with how bad this Texans receiving core is. And that's why you go out and get a guy like Jahdae Barron. But still, they got some guys. They'll get Greenlaw back after he's done with that 1-game suspension as well. And listen, the Broncos looked great last week. They really saw, they're really starting to find out like, hey, we got a 1-2 punch in J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. So let's actually see what happens. Let these guys cook together. So I'm liking what I'm seeing there. And yeah, the Broncos, the Texans got the win last week, but I'm still not fully bought in. It was nice after a bye week, but you also get 2 weeks to plan. How do they look after that? Dude, I just got to roll with them. I'm heavily invested on the Broncos, so I gotta roll with my boys and just think that they're going to get it done. This is a Super Bowl caliber team with a Super Bowl caliber defense, so they're going to get it done.
Yeah, the big thing for me here, I agree with you. I'm going to go with Denver. I think CJ Stroud might get sacked 7 or 8 times in this game.
Yeah.
I think Nick Bonito and the boys are going to go to work. I'm really concerned. I know it was a good performance from Houston last week, but I don't know, man, the way this Denver team looks right now, the winning streak that they're on, and I think like genuinely top to bottom, they're a better team, So, and I kind of give the nod to Bo Nix over CJ Stroud, to be honest with you, at the quarterback position. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I could see like a 17-13 type of win for Denver, but it's going to be tough for CJ Stroud and that offense to get cooking. Like, I got Woody Marks in a league, and I'm hesitant to start him, even with how he's been playing, just because I think this Houston offense is really going to struggle, and that Denver D-line just has such an edge over the Houston offensive line. You can make the argument Houston has the worst offensive line in football.
I would make the argument.
And then the Denver Broncos led the league in sacks last year, and they've been unbelievable this year in the sack department. I really just think it's such a big mismatch that I got to go with the Broncos.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about Woody. I would play him. I think he's going to continue to carve out a bigger and bigger role here. Plus, he's the guy that they passed to. So
yeah, the receiving.
So he's getting the receiving work. So he may honestly get to a point where he's matchup proof because of that aspect. It's clear he's got more juice than Chubb. Like Chubb, I would not be playing here, but I think Marks will be fine regardless of the matchup, just because from pure volume standpoint. But I understand if you have other options to pivot to. But yeah, that's another aspect. This Houston O-line is terrible. So I really would think they'll have their way and feast in this one.
All right. The Jacksonville Jaguars off a bye travel to the Las Vegas Raiders, also off a bye. Jacksonville 4-3, Vegas 2-5, but the Jags are favored 2.5 points here. A total of 44.5. I think the Jaguars are a better team talent-wise, but we don't always see that from Trevor Lawrence and the boys. What are your thoughts on this one here with both teams coming off a bye?
Yeah, so believe it or not, I'm actually rolling with the Raiders in this one. I just think they're so due for a win. Like, everyone's been so down on them. They haven't been able to figure out a lot, but I think they had a lot more going into that bye week to figure out than the Jaguars did. Like, the Jaguars obviously were limping into the bye week, but we've seen them beat some good teams, where the Raiders have just been so bad recently. So you got to think they've made some big time changes. I think they're going to figure out a way to how to fully utilize their 6th overall pick in Ashton Genty here. And honestly, it comes down to, I trust Pete Carroll more than I trust Cohen. Like, this is Cohen's first time as a coach going into a bye week. Pete Carroll's been a head coach in this league a long time, so I think he knows the proper adjustments and is a veteran guy that's going to be great off the bye. So I'm going to take him here, and I think Geno Smith will look better. But also, they're going to be getting Brock Bowers back, it sounds like, at this point after the bye week. Jacoby Myers as well. So those are 2 massive upgrades for that offense that they haven't had as recently. So I think that'll also help, Geno Smith and this offense get rolling.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I got to fade you here. I got the Jags. I just think they're a better team. Both defenses are not great. They're kind of bottom half of the league and a lot of metrics. So it's not even like they have a talent like boost in that regard. But offensively, it's like Geno Smith just looks so bad. And like, look, I know Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked great either, but it's just like looking at the weapons here, like Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter just had the biggest game of his career. I hope they continue to funnel him the ball. And I really like ETN in this matchup. I'm tempted to put him in big dogs, but the Jags just scare me in general. So, I probably won't go that route. But I just think that the Jags got more dudes right now. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think Geno being a turnover machine is a problem. I will acknowledge they're at home here. So maybe that's something that could really come into play. But I don't know, dude. This is a gross game, in my opinion. I just have seen the Jags like put more quality wins on the board and play teams tougher than Vegas, who in their last time we saw them play just weren't even competitive. So this is a tough game for me, but I can't put any faith in the Raiders right now. Just really can't do it.
No, I understand that. I don't know, man. I just have this just feels trappy to me. It just feels trappy to me. So I'm gonna take Vegas at home off the bye week. They're just so due, man. So due.
All right, a game which is the fattest spread on the slate. The Rams at home at 5-2 welcome the 1-7 Saints, and the Rams are 14.5 point favorites. Yes, there's even a hook, which is crazy. The total is 43.5. So with a 14.5 total, I mean, Vegas thinks this is going to be an ass beating, and the Saints with Tyler Shuck are barely going to score. And the Rams defense has been pretty good, and they're getting some reinforcements now, obviously adding Roger McCreary earlier in the week as well. So who knows, man? Who knows? It's a fat spread. It feels weird laying that many points, but hey, Vegas does not trust the young buck in Tyler Shuck, who's 26. He's not even that young for a quarterback, but it's fine. It's fine.
What do you mean?
Do you think Shuck and the boys can cover 14.5?
I'm just looking it up because I'm curious, but I don't. Honestly, I'm going to take the Rams off the bye. Like, it's just a rough draw going on the road in your first career start against a very good defensive team and a very good offensive team in the Rams. It sounds like Puka's trending towards playing as well.
Yep.
So, that's an even bigger boost for the Rams. So it's just hard. I mean, the Rams are a popular survivor pick. I'm going to be taking them, so I don't see a path for the Saints to win. Could they get a backdoor cover? Sure. I mean, even like the Saints team total, the Saints team total is still at 14.5. So that's more than I thought. I don't love that as much now. I was going to say, 13.5 is minus 125. Kind of, no, I'm not going to touch that.
I don't like that. I think they lose like 31-10, dude. Like that. Like, I think they get their asses kicked. And it's just like,
14.5 minus 112. It's not bad. You're really just debating like what's the first half total? Like, I'm curious. Do they even have a point line? No, they don't. What were you saying now?
Yeah, I mean, this one's just pretty easy to me, dude. Like, you just look at the Jimmies and Joes, the Rams, and what they got with Puka back and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams and Matthew Stafford. Like, they're so much better at the head coach, at the quarterback, and at the weapons, and they're coming off a bye, and it's Tyler Shuck's first career start. There's just no way. There's just no way he walks into LA against Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and gets a win. Maybe they can cover 14.5 because it's such a fat spread, but I think it's more likely to just blow them out of the water, and they're resting their starters in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's probably the most likely reality. I also see a world where somehow the Saints get like a defensive touchdown early, and it's like, uh-oh, you never know. And then that's like all they do is they get one defensive touchdown, and it's never a game.
That could definitely happen as well.
I don't know. Just a weird inkling I have. Maybe in my Felt 5, we'll throw that in there, sprinkle that in there.
Why not? All right, the game of the week for sure. The Kansas City Chiefs at 5-3 travel to Buffalo to play the 5-2 Bills. It just seems like these teams meet up every regular season now. I love it. Kind of building a rivalry here. Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites on the road, man. Crazy. Off that win against the Commanders, the Bills coming off a bye. So sitting there. Oh, sorry, they're not coming off a bye. They steamrolled Carolina last week. My apologies.
Yeah.
So both teams coming off big wins. But it's in Buffalo, man, and the Chiefs are favored. I find that very, very interesting. That they're saying on a neutral field the Chiefs be 5.5-point favorites over the Bills. That seems disrespectful, in my opinion. But hey, it is what it is. Who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Chiefs. It's just so hard not to. They look way more dominant right now, and obviously the Bills just had a huge dominant win, but I mean, the Chiefs are just doing it against like some top tier competition. I mean, it's one thing to dominate the Commanders, even if it's without Daniels, but like the Panthers, I mean, they're already not the best of best in the league, especially with Andy Dalton. So I've just been really impressed with Kansas City. It just seems like they're unstoppable right now. This offense, it's just, they throw so many different options out at you. Like this core is healthy between Worthy and Rice. Even with Pacheco out, it doesn't really matter because they can't run the ball anyway, and that's fine. Mahomes' arm has been on fire right now. He looks like he's going to run away with this MVP race as it stands. And it comes down to me liking Kansas City's defense a lot more than Buffalo's because Josh Allen's going to get his and be able to put up points. But do I think that this Bills defense can get any stops? No. Do I think this Kansas City defense can get some stops? Yes. So that's what it came down to.
I'm going to go with the Bills here.
What?
They're at home. They got the win last year in the regular season. And remember, that was like Mahomes was like all pissed off after the game and like the refs and kind of what they did when I think, if I remember correctly, Kelsey made a sick play and like lateraled the ball and threw it backwards. But I think Worthy might have lined up off sides or something like that. And that's when Mahomes like threw a big fit with the refs. Mm-hmm. So they got it done in the regular season. This is the regular season, not the postseason. This is the postseason. Absolutely. You're betting my fucking ass. I'm taking the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I actually think the Bills match up pretty well here because they are particularly bad, very bad against the run. And now they just lost Ed Oliver. The thing is, though, Kareem Hunt does not have any juice. He's not going to make any big plays. He's going to get what the defense gives him. And I think that's fine for now. And I think it's going to be one of those high-scoring duels, and it comes down in the fourth quarter. And I think the fact that they're at home, Josh Allen, the Bills, will make the play, have the ball last, and get it done in a very tight win. So I actually think with not, the fact that the Chiefs can't run the ball, and now they don't have Pacheco and it's Hunt, is actually huge for the Bills. If the Chiefs had a running back that was worth a damn, it could be a big problem. But that's why I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Give Rashard Smith a chance. Let him cook in this matchup. This could be his coming out party. I got him in a couple dynasty leagues. I mean, he's worth the speculative ad. Give him a chance. He's showing some juice and some limited touches. I'm just saying this could be the Rashard Smith coming out game.
It's almost like Reed wants to use him as like a gadget player and out in space.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, we'll put him in big dogs just because, you got to think he's going to score.
Oh, I mean, I should have someone in this game in big. It's probably be Rashee Rice. That guy's an animal. I love Rashee Rice. So maybe Rashee Rice sneaks his way into big dogs again.
I just feel like B. Smith, bro.
Dude, why are you complaining? He's a Chief. You picked the Chiefs. You should be happy.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a B. Smith game. I mean, let me tell you his odds. I mean, plus 240.
What are the odds on Rashee Rice, and what are the odds on Josh Allen?
Minus 110, minus 105.
Okay. Both are in play there.
You got to think Hunt's going to get in once.
Hunt probably gets in. What's his line? Minus 150?
Plus 115.
Oh, he's plus money, huh?
Just don't love it though. But
He's
you
just
gotta
such
think.
an ass player because you're banking on them getting down inside the 5, right? Like that's really what you're banking on.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
Anywhere else, probably not. So
yeah.
All right, man. Let's move on here. Sunday night football. The Seattle Seahawks at 5-2 travel to Washington, take on the 3-5 Commanders. Seattle's 3.5-point favorites. Total 47.5, as mentioned earlier in the podcast. Jaden's practicing. We don't know if he's going to be playing yet. No Terry for the Commanders off a tough loss to Kansas City, but I will say their defense actually looked pretty good in that one. Seattle off a bye here. What are you thinking, Reagan? Do you think the Seahawks get it done? I know you thought they weren't going to be that good of a team, but
no, they're definitely better than I thought. I already ate crow on that one. Yeah, I think Seattle gets it done here. I mean, I'm kind of projecting it to be Mariota here. I think that's what the line's projecting it as it stands. So
I agree.
I'm going to go ahead and assume it's Mariota playing. I don't like it as much, obviously. If it's Daniels, I think they probably don't win, but I'm just going to go with it as is. I just think Seattle off the bye, they're going to hopefully try to figure out some way to make the running game more consistent. But listen, Darnold and JSN have been great, and that defense has been great. So it's hard to think one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now doesn't continue to roll here. So I think it's just going to be a tough battle, and I think it might be similar to the last week's Monday night game where, the Commanders were able to hang around in the first half, but then ultimately the fact that their offense was so inconsistent, showed it. And McLaurin's already been ruled out as well, so that doesn't help. You're asking a lot more on Debo, and so far the Commanders have also not been able to run the ball at all. So you're just putting that much more pressure on Mariota to be great, which he's not.
100%. They've not been able to run the ball, and the Seahawks have allowed the lowest rushing yards per game in the entire league. So whoever's that quarterback for the Commanders, it's going to be on them. And even if it's Jaden with the hammy, it seems like he's coming back a little early. Maybe at 3-5, you feel the pressure. But there are concerns if he comes back in here that he's compromised and he's not going to be able to run as much as he would in normal circumstances. And maybe there's re-injury risk, which would suck. That's the worst case, right? So they're not going to be able to run the ball. If it's Mariota, I think they're fucked. And Seattle's got a top 10 scoring defense anyways, right? So right now they're playing better ball. They're fresh. They're coming off a bye. If it's Mariota, this isn't even close in my mind. If it's Daniels, yeah, I'm a little hesitant. But then again, like I just said, is he compromised? I don't know. It's you're putting a lot of faith in the guy. I know he's a superstar, but it just seems tough. Walmart's going to be pissed at me, but sorry, dude. I got to go with the Seahawks in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to go with the Commanders. I don't think he'll be pissed. I mean, you gotta understand it. Without Jaden, they're just a different team. I mean, I think they win with Jaden. Without Jaden, they lose. But I'm not like you, where I'm gonna be like, oh well, I'm like, well, if this happens, then I'll swap. I'm rocking with the Seattle no matter what. If Seattle ends up losing and Jaden played, so be it. So be it. So be it. So
all right, man. Let's wrap up this podcast with Monday Night Football. Arizona 2-5. Damn. Remember when they started 2-0? And I was like, let's hold your horses here.
Times.
Like, they haven't beaten anyone good. They beat Carolina. They beat New Orleans. Now they're sitting here
contenders.
2-5. And it looks like Kyler Murray will be back in action, though, traveling to Dallas, the 3-4-1 Dallas Cowboys, who are 2.5-point favorites in the total here. Highest on the slate, 53.5, which is valid because this Cowboys defense sucks. But hey, that offense is awesome. So I'm going with the Cowboys in Jerry's world here. Kyler Murray, I think he does love playing in Jerry's world, though. I think he's had some success there earlier in his career. I think he even goes back to high school. He played in Texas. I think he won a state championship there. So he loves Jerry's world, too. Maybe that comes into play for your pick. Doesn't for mine. I'm going Cowboys. What do you say?
I am going Cowboys. I think they're, a good survivor pick if you're desperate for some options here. I don't care, man. Like, this Cardinals team is not good. Like, the offense, they're very clunky on both sides of the ball. Like, I haven't been overly impressed. I think there's a chance they move on from Gannon after the season. And on the Cowboys side, like, this offense is scary. I don't care how bad the defense is. The offense is scary. So I think, Kyler will still find a way to struggle in this one. And, I just think between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, like, they're going to feast. This Arizona secondary isn't anything special. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. So, I'm cool with it if you want to give us a Monday night sweat and put in Lamb. That would be cool.
Yeah, you know what? We cashed for the Monday Night Sweat last time, so this game is too juicy. It's the highest total on the slate. I got to get someone in this game in the parlay for sure, and it's probably gonna be in the Cowboys side because
plus 105. Whoa,
he's plus money. Oh, lock it in, lock it in. We need another Monday Night Sweat with CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, lock that one in. I like it. And Arizona is actually worse through the air than they are in the ground defensively, so. It plays.
Not that he's plus money right now.
That is insane that it's plus money. And
probably won't be by the time we place it, but he is plus 105 right now.
Yeah, but hey, it plays. Look, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. They're at home. They're at Jerry's World. Dak's been on fire. Like CeeDee Lamb's back. Like this Cardinals team is despite the fact that they're off a bye, I really don't give a shit. Kyler Murray is he's losing me, man. He is just losing me, and I can't put faith in him given the way that he's played. I do think they can score here and keep up. Like McBride and Marv should have big games, absolutely. But how effectively are they going to be able to run the football? I don't know. With their backup running backs, I don't know, dude. Maybe if this is in Arizona, I'd give them more of a shot. But I just think Dallas at home is kind of a very safe pick in this one. I think their offense is going to hang over 30. It should be a shootout. Should be a fun Monday night game. And we should cash big dogs parlay, hopefully, with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, you really don't like Kyler, man. You're not a big Kyler guy.
No, I'm not, dude. I got him in one league. I'm trying to get rid of him. I've been trying, dude. No one wants him. I mean, I understand he still has value. He's still got value as a dynasty quarterback, absolutely. But that's why I'm not trading him for peanuts. But yeah, I just don't want him. I don't want to start him. Inconsistent, man. He's inconsistent.
Yeah, he's very inconsistent. He is definitely inconsistent. But, I mean, hey, another 14 games, banged it out there. Hopefully, everyone's going out and getting some fantasy wins this week, right?
Let's go. Hey, if you got questions for your fantasy team, a trade you want to make, start, sit, hit our DMs, hit our comments. We'd love to interact with you guys. We really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed as well. We're on the road to 1K. We're climbing. We're climbing every week, but we need your help to get there, and we appreciate you. We'll be back next week, as we always are, on Around the Felt Sports.
Yeah.